on live. And yes, we are on live, ladies and gentlemen. We are on live. And if this is the first time you're tuning in, you can go to the Platinum platform by GDM-Metropolis, and that stands for Singapore. And I'm on live now with Mr. Ralph Ave, from broadcasting live from California, USA, and it is 11:13 a.m. on a Sunday morning here in Singapore. Welcome to Singapore, Ralph. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? It's glad to be here.
Ralph, just before we start, ladies and gentlemen, you can check Mr. Ralph Arve below in my YouTube channel. The series with him about military stories. We have a 6-part series on military stories by Mr. Ralph Ave. He's a veteran. He was the Master Chief Sergeant of the United States Air Force for 20 years, and he was the top 1% of the USA Air Force. And I'm so honored to have him back again to talk about this topic of leadership. And this is part of our promotion for Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, a book that we are coming out in 2020, and also to introduce him as the international mentor for Life Skills Academy. Without further ado, I'd like to just have a quick introduction with Ralph about how he's doing, and also say hi to the Singapore and an international audience. What time is it right there, Ralph? And what day is it?
It's a Saturday evening, 8:14 p.m.
Okay, so that means that you're younger than me by 15 hours, which means that accumulatively, you are younger than me by 15 hours every day. So by the end of 15 years, 10 years, I don't know how much younger you are than me. So we're always, I mean, you are in California and you have a very eventful life as a military personnel before. And also now you are also dedicating your life service to the federal government. So it is so apt for us to talk about your book and your life experience as a leader, for what you have done and for what you're doing now, and also to use some of your life experience to share with the audience and the future millennials, the millennial generation, about what goes into the making of a leader. Tell us about your book, Ralph, and what goes into your book.
So it goes about my experience, my personal, a little bit of biography about myself. Just growing up, a single parent, because my father passed away when I was 9 years old. I think I mentioned that in one of the series that we did. And I just had to grow up quick, you know. But what went into the book is just my personal experiences from my childhood, a little bit of my teenage years, and school, and then going into the military. So there was just some examples there about being a leader. Not what a lot of people don't realize, that being a good leader, you know, it's either you're born with it or you get trained for it. Some people have a knack of being a good leader, and some people have a knack of being a bad leader. But no matter what, they're somehow, some way, in somebody's lifetime, they're gonna be a leader, and it depends how they want to pursue it.
Yeah, and that's a great introduction to your book. And shout out to your book, The Modest Leader. And where can they find it, Ralph?
So it's at www fatfreecartpro.com/I/11B42 So I'll put in the chat so we can have a link. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's off of eJunkie.
Yeah. And I've known you for over 8 months now. Ralph, I would like to talk about your personal branding and what you stand for, your philosophy and the guiding principles of your life. You have been a military personnel. You stand for someone who's a custodian of a mission. You've given a mission. You need to achieve that. You need to deliver that. And you need to also deliver that with your buddies, right? Your compatriots, your subordinates as a leader. What do you say is your guiding principle and your philosophy before? And then what's your philosophy now that I see you as a mentor to students in the school, involving in young people's lives, sports in particular, and also working for the federal government? What's your philosophy, and what do you say that you stand for?
So my philosophy, always stay humble. There's a lot of good leaders out there that they're very boisterous, very loud. I've never been one to be that way. A lot of people told me to be more vocal, be this, be that, and I just told them straight that that's not me. I led with a lot of times without yelling, because it's just more relating to people. I learned that you take out the I from yourself, you take out the me from yourself, and you start, caring about other people, taking interest in them, and it reciprocates a lot better than if, you talk about yourself too much.
And I think that could be the phenomenon we're seeing now, right? With the internet generation, because it's all about me, right? You look at Instagram, it's about, okay, it's about me looking good. It's about me putting on makeup. It's before and after pictures, right? And I think you do hit the nail on the head about me. I think a lot of us think about me too much. There should be a balance. Now, what strikes me about you is that you are a person who, man of integrity. It's easy to see. And you're also given the task in the military. And integrity means honesty and delivering what you promise. How important is that for a leader?
Absolutely important. We've learned integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. So even if you're all alone, you still have to do the right thing. And it won't risk your reputation if you get caught, because when somebody surprises you looking over your shoulder, if you're doing the right thing, you have nothing to worry about.
And you're saying, and I think you strike the nail on the head, what you are known for. And what is branding? Branding is what people say about you behind your back, right? I think that's a simple way of saying it. It's about that words people say. It's about your name, your reputation, and what you're known for. If you were to be talking to a group of young adults that you're coaching right now, mentoring right now, that I see you're very much involved with in your Facebook, tell us, how would you encapsulate that about building a personal brand for themselves, about what people say about you when you're not looking? How important is that, and how do you build that?
Just lead by example. Believe in them. Believe in each one of them, because they're our future, and we want to give a great impression for them to move forward with. Could be a teacher, a coach, parent, friend, right? But give them something that will impact them the rest of the way. Because one of my rules when I coach is make everybody around you better, right? Because in the sport of basketball, I mean, 1-on-5, unless you're LeBron James, Michael Jordan, I mean, they still needed teammates to win. And, so, but when they apply that on a basketball court, and I also tell them
Wow.
to apply that in their school, if somebody's struggling, go help them out. Treat each other with respect. If we do that slowly, so say I have 12 kids for one team. If I have 12 of them doing the same thing, then it doubles, it triples, it quadruples, right? So that's what I believe in, just making everybody around you better, whether it's in basketball or in school or just being around society.
And that I see is your slogan. Make everyone around you better. Well, that's a powerful slogan, Ralph. Someone may buy it, so please trademark that quickly for yourself. And I'm not kidding, because if you keep tearing people down, which is so often in the corporate world, because you don't want someone to be more successful than yourself. And also in a corporate world, in a business world, you're full of jealousy. When someone else gets the price better or faster or more, right? But if you take a step back, the way to be bigger, it's really to make the people around you better, because you're rising up. And that is the mark of a leader, isn't that, Ralph?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe leaders should throw away the mindset that I want to win this award. I need to get this. I need that. Take care of your team, take care of your people, and everything else will fall into place.
Wow, that's a very powerful thought. Make everyone around better, and that could be a very successful book of yours next. Yeah, and that, I would say that encapsulates your brand and your philosophy in a very beautiful way, and that's a very powerful quote, which I'm going to take it, but I won't trademark that. That belongs to you. I want to talk about, you talked about being in the basketball team, being involved in that. Tell us about some of these projects in education, and I call it an education in itself, because you're talking about team sports, being a team player, and leadership, etc. And tell us about your project specifically.
My projects with basketball, or
coaching, mentoring these students in the basketball that I see you so much involved with. Yeah, it's a lot of dedication, and you're not paid, right?
Oh, it's time consuming. I just had to coach 2 teams for the middle school because we didn't want them to lose a season. But
tell us what goes into that. Tell us what goes into that.
Well, just picking a leader, and then trying to teach them not really the chain of command, but respecting their captains, respecting people above them. I always tell them, if there's a teacher or an adult ahead of you, if they have a title, Mr., Mrs., coach, in Hawaii, if they're older, they're adult, we say uncle, auntie, or in
like in Singapore.
Yeah, in Filipino culture, we say ate or kuya, that's like an older sibling out of respect. But I always tell them, when you see an adult out there, I better hear a Mr. or a Mrs. in front of it, because we need to get back to, our young kids respecting our elders.
Yes.
And that's what I try to teach my kids.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about your book. Tell us, what are these chapters in your book? And tell us about what stands out. Maybe talk about 2 of the chapters of your book.
Ooh, what stands out? Just noticing behavior with people. Some may be quiet, some may be outlandish. Just knowing how to adjust to each and relating to each one of them and making them work together. Because a good team, when they mesh really well, like I said, everything falls into place. And every time I got an award, I would treat them to lunch, or we'd go out and we'd celebrate their accomplishment, not mine, their, because it was they were the ones that got me there. And then when they got an award, we'd celebrate them, you know. So that's just like I've learned to celebrate each other's success instead of being jealous about it.
Yeah, and you know, you're the best person to talk about leadership. You know, you have led your I should say your comrades you know, in the military, and now you're also, you know, leading groups of students, coaching them. I want to know from your point of view, as in and you know, all these military concepts of leadership about businesses actually comes from the military background, military concepts, because you're talking about fighting the market war with your enemy, who's your competitor, making sure you win with your product and your service, and managing your team in a very competitive, cutthroat market space. I mean, a lot of thoughts come from the military. I like to think that your book has a lot of application to the business world, particularly running a business or running a department where you need team players and you need people to come to a mission to achieve a particular business goal. Tell us about what you think in that arena, Ralph.
Yeah, I think just the respect factor, even from kids to adult, you know, just don't make enemies.
Don't make enemies.
Yeah, you know, even if they're working for a different company, or if you know, like with the kids, even if they're wearing another jersey, I'd say, hey, if they're on the ground, pick them up. You know, that's your brother right there. Doesn't matter what jersey you wear, you know. So that's what I try to live by. I try, you know, I'm human. I do have, you know, I do make mistakes, but from my mistakes, if I haven't learned from them, then I wouldn't have made it this far.
So I see you've got a few mottos, right? Make everyone around you more successful, and don't make enemies. Great quotes you have there. Tell us about if you were to coach like a student, like, you know, a young adult, besides respect, is there anything they should do to make a team come together?
Just have them believe in themselves, and then have, you know,
make them believe in themselves.
Yeah, just, you know, because.
And how do you do that? And how do you do that? How does it operate?
So my rule is we're as strong as our weakest link. So even our weakest player, that's our link, right? So we treat each other with respect. We'll help each other out. We'll cheer each other on, no matter what. And then, you know, then we say, hey, go out there with a lot of confidence, believe in yourself. And I tell them I believe in them. That way, you know, oh, he's putting me in because I know he sees something in me. And you know, for the kids to make the team, of course, they had something to give, right? So I'll tell the person to just keep believing in yourself, keep pushing yourself, and I tell them we're gonna fail. You know, we're not gonna win every game. We're gonna make a lot of mistakes, but guess what? You gotta keep pushing forward. You gotta keep, you know, keep it moving.
Yeah, and you are as good as your weakest link. I think that's a very good business concept too, in application to businesses, to make a team come together to achieve a target for a department or a business. So there we have it. That's your very three important mottos, the guiding principle. Glad to have that. Final question. I mean, we have talked about this, right? Leadership. There's a lot of books written out there. Is a leader born, or a leader nurtured, or could it be a hybrid of both? Tell us about you being a leader. How much do you think an X percentage was born, or an X percentage was nurtured by the environment or demands in your job, your job in the USA Air Force?
So I think it's because they grew up single parents, so I to really grow up really quick and figure things out on my own. But at the same time, my mom did tell me that, always treat other people with respect, you know, uh, and be sincere about everything. And she says it's gonna be tough. Life is not easy, but if you stay strong with your beliefs and you keep going. Like I said, people told me I had to be more vocal, more loud, and I said no, that's not me. I'm not gonna fake it till I make it. I'm gonna give you the real me. And with leadership, you know, I believe that you have to learn how to be a strong follower because you have to
Being a
show.
leader, you have to be a strong follower. Tell us.
Yes. Because you have to show examples like to everybody around you. Say, why would I listen to that guy if he's not following what his leaders are saying? So,
Okay, I've got a situation here, like to tap onto your expertise. If you do have a team of people within a particular department, right? Even in the military, you've got different logistical departments. You've got different characters, right? You've got people who are aggressive. You've got disagreement of the way forward. You've got disagreement with habits. If you bring your own concept into a particular environment, at the beginning, before people build into a similar so-called work culture, right? You have got this group of people coming in, conflicts, differences, disagreements, different behavior, different expectations. You've got that at the beginning of a team building. So in a real environment, be it business, be it in the school, in the sports, you've got this diverse group of people, and they're given this opportunity to work together to achieve a particular goal. I mean, in business, you do have to, right? If you're doing sales, you got to achieve a particular target. Tell me, tapping your brain, how quickly and what would you do to be able to bring them together?
I just find common ground. It's different, right? Military and civilian side. So I know one situation where our crew was just not getting along for some reason, and we just went in private and just started yelling at each other. But that's like a military setting, right? Because we said, all right, everybody take off your stripes, and then we just start going off on each other. And then after like maybe 15 minutes or so, everybody calmed down and we were fine after that. So
wow, that's a powerful strategy. I've not thought about that. I mean, in application, for a commercial environment, I am astounded to hear that. And that could be a solution, because like what you say, if people take away that position, even in a commercial setting, you've got a manager, you've got a leader, you've got someone who's a clerk, you've got someone who's just coming in, right? You've got someone who's really, really senior. And people try to play their seniority and their position in a particular setting because they have been there. They are the old guards, and there are the rookies who just come in, right? So I would think that you are right, and this is a new concept that could be applied in a business context, because we take them out. Like it's just like a team building. You go to the field and you start to yell and shout and work something out together, and give people a piece of your mind. And then thereafter, when you're finished, go back to work.
Yeah,
I think that's a great concept.
I had a 3-man crew, and I was only E3 then, and my buddy was an E3. Then we just had a problem with our E5, our sergeant, and we just went in the back and we just said, all right, take off the stripes. And we just went at it. And then after that, I said, we're good. All right, we're good. Let's get back to work. And we were fine after that. We were pretty good. You know, we got along. Sometimes you have to vent to each other because you can't hold things in, or else you got to keep building that animosity towards each other.
Building
and that's what we
animosity.
didn't want,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So
you're right. You're right. And that is particularly important because sometimes it's even beyond just face-to-face sit-down conversation when people are not ready to talk. People need to go to a place and let us just face it and shout it out. And that's why you've got all these games out there, right? Just using this, I'm not sure in America, but using this X and just throw it at a particular target, or using, shooting at something. That's where people vent it out. And you're right. And that's a huge eye opener. And ladies and gentlemen, that's The Modest Leader, the book that you can find at the Junkies, right? Did you say?
eJunkie.
The eJunkies.com. But also, I've invited Mr. Ralph Ave, to be one of the contributing writers for the book Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs, to highlight some of his experience in leadership in application to everyday life, to teams, to departments. And one of the examples I can see right there, I mean, it could be a top seller, right? Number one, make everyone around you successful. Don't create enemies. And also, like what you say, just have a session of shout out outside the department, outside the office. I think these are great strategies for people to come to a particular place thereafter and calm down after they have resolved whatever differences, because I don't like your face, I don't like the, whatever, and then come together for a particular mission. Ralph, thanks for that. Is there a final 60-second a thought about leadership you'd like to share with the listeners and the viewers?
Just believe in your subordinates. Lead by
Believe in them.
example. Don't just tell them what to do. Show them that you're willing to get in there, get dirty, so that they follow.
Get dirty. Lead by example. There's a lot of takeaways in talking to you, right? And you make it sound easy, right, Ralph?
You gotta live it sometimes.
Yeah, with 20 years of military experience back then, and now you're also in a position of sharing with your life experience with many people, and I'm honored to have you on board for the Life Skills Academy. We'll talk about that in the future, but today you as a contributing writer, to extract an excerpt from your book, to contribute it to the Gold Nuggets of Entrepreneurs, I'm really very honored for that. Ralph, I'd like to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. And that last 35 minutes or so, you have given us a lot of enlightenment with these guiding principles, right? Right. I think 4 or 5 guiding principles that it so much goes into that. I should say that clip that you have given us, that quote that you have given us, so much goes into that. And it comes with a life of practice, isn't that, Ralph?
Oh yeah. So like we, as a chief master sergeant in the Air Force, we have our own parking spot, and I used to joke around with my guys and be like, yeah, the only reason why I want that stripe is that parking spot. What goes behind it, you have to work.
Why the parking spot?
Because it was a lot closer to the door.
Oh, because the military base is so huge, right?
Yeah.
You got to walk, right? Or you got to rollerblade, or you got to cycle, or you just have to walk. That's great insight from you for the last 35 minutes, and a lot of us should find much more rewarding information and episodes from his book, The Modest Leader. And also we will find it also as an excerpt from the book Gold Nuggets for Entrepreneurs. For myself, I would like to thank you, and I'd like to also summarize, the takeaways from your session with us in the last 35 minutes. Now, these are not just sound bites, ladies and gentlemen, and they're not just concepts that we download from books, from a consultancy, from consultants, from writers, from journalists, but they are guiding principles of Ralph Harvey for his 20 years of military service, and the success of it has shown through that credential, through that background. I am so honored to have you, Ralph, to be talking about your experience that is encapsulated in 35 minutes, and that guiding principles that you share with us. Great words of advice, Ralph. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Vicky. It's always good to see you.
Yeah, and we hope that now I would say that, ladies and gentlemen, the official interview is over. Now let's have a 3-minute banter. Ralph, you have been to Singapore, right? And I was talking to Karen and to Annette, let us, if it's God's will, let us work towards an international convention for humanity. If we do try to work that, you are part of that, the international convention as a speaker, and also someone who's going to bring in big sponsors. Now, I would like to also talk about the International Humanities Summit that we had, right, in November. Ladies and gentlemen, please look at that. There's a lot of work that we do for some people, invisible people, for like yourself, a father, as a husband, and now giving your life service to the federal government and also to the students that you're coaching. A lot of things, much more than we can give. But can you imagine if we pull our resources together? It's tremendous, because a house is built on each brick, the brick and mortar of a house. And we can't say one brick is more important than the other. If you just take out one brick, I don't know if the house is going to collapse one day. It just becomes unstable. So I'm really thinking that if we could bring us together again someday in a physical way, that sounds great, doesn't it, Ralph?
Oh yeah, I'd love to visit Singapore again. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah, and meeting each other in the flesh, and meeting each other physically, right? With Annette, with Karen, myself, and the team. I think that would be a great idea, and also bringing people to a virtual and a physical world together. Would you think through that? Think about that, Ralph?
Yeah, I would love to be part
pray
of it.
about that.
Yeah.
I'm praying about that if something happens out of all our networking connection. Well, if Anthony Robbins can do it, I'm sure we can do that too.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ralph. Such a great honor to have you, and such a eye-opening session we had, and always a great connection on the level of connecting with you. We'll talk more again when I roll out the retirement plan season.
All right, sounds good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And thank you, sir, for spending your time with us. Thank you from Singapore, 11:46 a.m. on a Sunday morning here, bright and sunny and shining, and always welcoming you to the island of Singapore. Ralph, thank you, and like to say hi to California there.
All right, thank you so much, Vicky.
Yeah, see you soon. Right, seeing you and your family in Singapore soon for our International World Convention for Humanity.
Oh yeah. Can't
Bye.
wait.
Bye.